All right, I want to talk about the strike zone. This is a big, important topic for you guys, and there's some things I want to say that you may never have heard before, but this is going to help you throughout your baseball career. What I have here are some diagrams of actual strike zones. Now, these are taken from Major League umps. This is 3,000 pitches called against left-hand hitters only. Okay, every red dot represents a ball that the ump called a strike, and the black thing represents what the rule book strike zone is. Everybody knows when they open the rule book and they see the strike zone, there's a box. There's a box from the knees or the bottom of the knees. See the box there, the shaded box, and it goes up to what they call the top of the letters. Okay, and it's just exactly as wide as the plate. It's a perfect rectangle. That's what the strike zone is in the rule book. But in reality, this is what a strike zone really looks like, okay? Or this, or this, or this. These are all actual strikes called in the major leagues. What do you notice about these patterns? The red ones here are strikes, the blue ones are balls. Each dot is a pitch. Well, what I notice right away is it's not a rectangle. The actual strikes that are getting called against hitters are kind of an oval. They're kind of round. They're certainly not a rectangle. Over in the corner here, all these blue ones, they're balls. The ump is not calling these strikes. As you get deeper into it, yeah, now they're strikes. So if you drew a line about where the border was, it would be about an oval. And you can look at any one of these, you're going to see the same thing. It's not a rectangle, it's an oval. And in this case, he's calling, this is from the catcher's perspective, he's calling the pitch away a strike a lot more than he is the pitch inside. But don't even worry about that. Look at the shape. The overall shape is round, okay? The other thing I want you to notice is that with each umpire, what do you get? A different pattern. There's no agreement between two umps on exactly what a strike is. And there's definitely no agreement with our umps. I'm not saying they're not good umps, but with the umps that ump your games, your 10U games, they are going to be quite different. That's why I tell the guys on the bench, watch the game, especially watch the called strikes, strikes where the batter doesn't swing. Look at what the ump is calling. If a ball goes past the batter's nose and the ump says strike one, you need to know that. So when you go up to hit, you know that, hey, with two strikes, he might ring me up, strike me out on a ball across my face. The rulebook strike zone stops at the top of the letters. But I've seen umps call stuff up here at the hat. I've seen them call stuff that almost bounces on home plate. So you got to watch your ump. What is he calling that day? What does he think a strike is? Anytime you're on the bench, you should be watching for called strikes to see where they are. Now, we know the rule book perfect strike zone is a perfect rectangle. That's what this shaded area is. I've drawn in the oval of about what I think you should be looking for in the different counts. This is not a hard and fast rule, but basically, with no strikes, that's what this first diagram is on the left, you should love that pitch. That pitch should be over the plate and something you can handle and rip. If you don't love it with 0 strikes, let it go, okay? Now, with 1 strike, notice what happened to my oval. It's bigger. It's about the right size now. It's about the size of the real zone, because we know that real zones are not rectangles. They're more like ovals. Okay, so with 1 strike, you got to put a bat on something that's basically a strike. This is the most important one on the right, guys. I can't emphasize this enough. I've seen so many good hitters get rung up looking at called third strikes last year. We're not going to do that this year. With 2 strikes, you are aggressive, super aggressive. Anything that ump might call a strike, you're going to swing at. Now, if you'll notice, in this diagram, they actually made a bigger rectangle. The rectangle itself here is bigger with 2 strikes. It's bigger than the rule book strike zone. That was their diagram. I drew the oval around it because I want to remind you guys that a strike zone is not a perfect rectangle. It's more like an oval. But do you see how much bigger it gets? With 0 strikes, you can be fussy. With 1 strike, a little less picky. With 2 strike, anything close, you got to put a bat on. Even if you just foul it off. If you foul off a tough pitch, you get another pitch to hit. And a lot of times that breaks the pitcher's back. He says, oh, I just threw a great pitch, and this guy fouled it off. I don't know if I can do it again. And then he walks you. But with 2 strikes, guys, I want you ready to swing at anything that ump might call a strike that day. All right, I'm out of time. We might do part 2 on this, but I hope you understand this. Ask me questions if you don't.